the world. Well, why do we need to do this? Well, the reason is that if you look around and meet local entrepreneurs, there's some really, really brilliant people over here, but they don't have the global connections. Okay, they know a lot about Chile, they know a lot about the local environment, but they don't know what's happening in Estonia. They don't know what's happening in Silicon Valley. They don't know what's happening in Brazil. They are basically, you can't. I mean, when you live in a place like this, you can't really know what's happening all over the world. Silicon Valley is 52% immigrant. I mean, this might surprise you, but more than half of the startups in Silicon Valley are founded by people like me, people like you in this room. I don't think there are very few native-born Americans in this room. I know there are a couple, but there are very few. But Silicon Valley looks like us, really. It's a very global, international community. So, the local entrepreneurs don't have, there's another big problem over here. There's a problem in Brazil, there's a problem in Ecuador, there's a problem in Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina, there's a problem in Texas, there's a problem all across the world, that in most regions of the world, failure is considered to be bad. If you fail, you're considered to be a loser. You're considered to be a social outcast. When students decide to become an entrepreneur in some countries and they fail, their parents don't want to know them because their noses have been cut off and they're now social outcasts. Right? So this is a big problem here in Chile. Another problem in Chile, and this is again, I'm not being critical about Chile. Chileans, please don't get angry at me. When I say Chile, I'm using an example of North Silicon Valley. In North Silicon Valley, people don't share information. So when entrepreneur A goes to entrepreneur B, they sort of are very secretive. They're afraid that if entrepreneur A tells entrepreneur B what he or she is doing, entrepreneur B will get smarter and maybe steal the great idea. Therefore, they don't share knowledge. What they don't understand is by sharing knowledge, you get smarter. First of all, by expressing your ideas and telling someone about it, you're forced to rethink your idea. You're forced to put it into simple, communicatable English, which is a breakthrough for most of you. Because most entrepreneurs have all these sophisticated ideas which can't be expressed in common English, or Spanish, or Portuguese. Second thing that happens is that you get a reaction from someone else. If the other person doesn't understand what you're doing, the light goes off saying, maybe something's wrong with my idea. And then if you get a negative reaction from the first person, you say, this person is an idiot. He or she doesn't know what he's talking about. You go to the second person, this must be another idiot. You go to the third person. After you come across the 10th or 15th person, you begin to think, well, maybe they're not all idiots. Maybe I need to rethink my idea. Right? And then when you do share your information, well, here's what happens. You have the knowledge, the other person has the knowledge doubles. Right? And then what happens is that by sharing knowledge, now you have two brains computing the same data. You can now start exchanging ideas about what you just told the other person. You get valuable feedback. What happens is that both of you become smarter. In this case, 1 + 1 = 3. Right? So that's what happens when you share information. When you go to Silicon Valley, you go to Pete's Coffee House, you go to Starbucks, you go to any of the, the networking events every night. This is what we're having over here. If you were in Silicon Valley today, there would probably be 30 of these happening in South Bay alone, and then another 20 happening in San Francisco. They happen all across the place. So people get together, they drink with each other, and then they exchange ideas. That's when the magic happens. So how are you going to bring that culture to people who don't have any outside perspective? How are you now going to get people to share information? So I came here about 2 years ago, roughly. I was invited by Corfo. Corfo had this, this is another interesting thing. Who's heard of clusters? This is Michael Porter's theory. Michael Porter is one of the most renowned management gurus from Harvard. Michael Porter has made a fortune, tens of millions of dollars, by prescribing his theory of culture. He goes all around the world telling regions that the way to build competitiveness, if you want to build a Silicon Valley, what you do is that you decide you want to build a Silicon Valley, an IT outsourcing industry. You want to build a chemical industry, you want to build a forestry industry, whatever it might be. You pick some hot sector, and then you find a great university which is doing research, you locate over there, you build a science park, you build a technology park. So you spend $100 million building fancy buildings, buying real estate, and then you create a real estate, then you create venture capital. You create a major venture capital fund, and then you pick some big companies and give them tax breaks, you give them incentives, and then you watch magic happen. This is the standard recipe all over the world. Whether it be in Chile, whether it be in China, whether it be, you'll find hundreds of these all over the world. Guess how many successes there are? Zero. A big, fat zero. There is not one example of a government-sponsored innovation cluster anywhere in the entire world. I challenge someone to show me one effort by one government which has spent any amount of money in building a Silicon Valley type of innovation system that succeeded. Zero. Japan spent $20 billion. The Chinese have spent, God knows, tens of billions of dollars. Regions all over the world have spent hundreds of billions of dollars. Zero successes. You would think that, with such a success rate, someone would have spoken up and said, hey, the emperor has no clothes. But no one has done that. So when I came over here 2 years ago, Corfo invited me over, and they were very proud of their outsourcing industry. They invited me to an IT outsourcing conference. They promised that I would get to meet President Bachelorette, the former president, that I would get to meet ministers, and I would leave here blown away. Oh my God, this guy! Oh my God! So John buys me a red wine, and he buys me a double-loaded, what is that, pico sour? And that's the filming me. Deadly combination. I'm a cheap drunk. Anyway, getting back to my story. So the government invited me over thinking that because on top of being an actor, I'm a former entrepreneur. I founded 2 companies, and then I had a heart attack, and then I started to think that if I go back to being a tech entrepreneur, I'll have another heart attack. So I said, let's do something different. I became an academic. And along the way, I also started writing, so I became a journalist. So I was pretty famous as a journalist and an academic and so on. So they invited me over here thinking that I'll come here and write a glowing review about Chile's IT outsourcing industry. They also engaged my group at Duke University to do a study on Chile's engineering education, because I became famous for my research on India and China's engineering education systems. I looked at it and I published papers which created a lot of controversy, but I was very well known for that. So Chile wanted me to engage my group to do a paper on Chile's education system. So I studied all that before coming here, and I found that they were graduating 2,000 engineers a year. And I came over here, and they were showing off to me, saying, look, over 7 years we've built an $800 million IT outsourcing industry. And now we're going to take it to $5 billion over the next 5 years or so. I looked at the data, their projections, I looked at the numbers. 2,000 engineers a year. To go from 800 million to 5 billion means that they would need, God knows, 120,000 engineers over 5 years. I said, where are they going to get all these engineers from? They said, well, there are a lot of poor people in Valparaiso. The industry will start hiring people in Valparaiso. They'll go to Antofagasta. They'll go all over the country, and suddenly we'll take people out of poverty, and we'll build this massive innovation center over here. I said to myself, my God, these people are totally fucked up. Now I'll have the rest of my pico, so I was diplomatic. I'm an academic, so I had to put things in academic terms. And so I told them that, look, I don't believe that you can go from where you are to where you need to be. They got very upset at me, because they had high hopes of me writing a Business Week article that was just going to praise them and talk about Chile's outsourcing industry, because I've been writing about the IT outsourcing industry globally. I basically told them, I said, this is doomed to failure. If any of you follow me and read my writings, you know that I'm completely outspoken. I've taken on everyone. I mean, recently, I'm taking on Peter Thiel, one of the goddamn richest people in the world. Okay, the PayPal mafia. I mean, I've taken on Mike Arrington on his disdain for blacks and women. Right? So I've taken on anyone and everyone, so I'm fearless. But when I'm in my academic hat on, I have to be polite and respectful. So basically, I told them respectfully that you can't get from where you are to where you need to be. They were upset, and Eventually, after all that, they said, well, what should we do? So I spent a little bit of time in the entrepreneurial ecosystem meeting local entrepreneurs, and I said, uh-oh, same problem that exists everywhere else in the world. These people are afraid of failure. So I'm going to take a detour now and talk about my other research into immigration in the United States. One of the projects I started doing, I studied Indian engineering education, the Indian education system. I studied outsourcing, why companies are going abroad. I studied a number of things, and then I started looking at Americans' advantages, immigration. I documented that 52% of the startups in Silicon Valley were founded by immigrants. 25% of America's startups in technology and engineering were founded by immigrants, people born abroad. Typically, they came to America as students, and 13 years later they founded their companies. But what I also found was that the patent filings by foreign nationals had increased by 337% over 8 years, and that was a mystery. Why is it that foreign nationals are now filing so many American patents? And it occurred to me that the problem is that America brought in so many people on H-1B visas and never increased the number of green cards, so there was a problem. And when we looked at it, we found that there were 1 million skilled immigrants in America waiting for green cards. You know, in Chile, people are worried about the Nicaraguans. In America, they worry about the Mexicans coming over the border and taking jobs away, right? So they talk about the 12 million immigrants, the illegal immigrants. There's a major outcry. There's a Tea Party, anti-immigrant movement. They want to throw the immigrants out and so on and so on. But in this debate was lost the fact that there are 1 million skilled immigrants who came legally. Doctors, scientists, engineers, entrepreneurs who came to America legally, stuck in immigration limbo. There are no visas for them. Now, there are 120,000 green cards for all skilled immigrants every year in America. There's a 7% per country limit. If you're Chilean, you're lucky because you're from a low population country, no problems. If you happen to be Mexican, you're screwed. If you happen to be Indian, you're double screwed. The wait time for Indians right now, my Duke students, when they graduate, the wait time is 70 years to get a green card. So I wrote a paper 4 years ago predicting that there would be a major reverse brain drain from America to other countries. In those days, no one took me seriously because it was so outrageous to say that in America, brain drain. There's never been a brain drain in America, but today everyone agrees there's a brain drain happening because of America's immigration policies. So I said to Juan Fontaine, the former economic minister, I said, let's take advantage of America's weakness. That if America is stupid enough to lose people like me and to lose people like you who are highly educated, who would come here today and just want to start companies. I came to America in 1980, and within 11 years of coming to America, I founded my first company, which generated 1,000 jobs within 5 years, right? And then I started another company which generated 250 jobs. So if America wants to drive the new generation of Vivek Wadhwas and Juan Fontaines away, it's fucked up. So let's take advantage of America's stupidity. Let's have a program by which you bring all the people to Chile and fertilize the local environment. What I told them was it'll take too long to change local attitudes. Chile has a lot of advantages. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. Just look around you. Go outside Santiago, you've got the mountains, you've got the beach. I don't have to tell you people, you've already been around here, more than I have. You know how beautiful this country is. It's like California in reverse in terms of season. It's one of the most beautiful places on this planet. The people are wonderful. Chileans are warm, open, great human beings. Right? The government is not corrupt. This is a very rare thing. I can't name many governments which aren't corrupt. Normally, a politician means corrupt. Here, a politician often means competent bureaucrat. If you look at the people in Corpo, if you look at the people in government, they're very decent people. Look at John Bollinger and Horatio and so on. They're government bureaucrats, and I normally, when I say government bureaucrats, it's an insult. But these guys are entrepreneurs at heart. They're really, really good, competent people. And that's how the rest of the Chilean government is. So I said, let's do one thing. Let's bring America's lost immigrants to Chile. How do you get them here? How do you get Silicon Valley? How do you get all these other people from all over the world to come to the middle of nowhere? Because look at where we are, in the middle of nowhere in South America. We might as well be in the South Pole before we are. Right. So, Nico Shea, who basically was working with the minister, he had an idea. His idea was, well, let's bribe the people to come here. You know, when you can't get things the straight way, I mean, if we had taken out ads all over the world saying, look, come to the most beautiful country in the world and build your company here, how many of you would have come? I don't see any hands. Or one person over there is what I can see. There's this like, strong light shining in my eyes. But the point is that we need to drive the first set of people to come over here. So you would come and realize how wonderful this country is. So we said, okay, let's offer, I said $50,000, Nico said $40,000, and he won. $40,000 was enough to incent people to come over here. And then suddenly there was concern, because think about it, all of you are from abroad. If any of your countries started paying people, we're paying foreigners to come there, $50,000 with no strings attached, no equity, no strings attached, just having to fill out stupid forms like you have to fill out every month and then going through the bureaucratic process you have to go through. That's the only inconvenience to get money. And they gave you a visa, they gave you, really nice office space with a serve tea and these empanadas or whatever they also serve over there. And they have good internet access now. Right? So what we said was that if in any other country they had offered that to foreigners, what do you think would have happened? Massive revolt. The people would have been burning down buses and burning down buildings and saying, keep the foreigners out, they take our jobs away. Right? So that was number one concern, that there would be a public backlash about it. Number two, the concern was that the only people who would come here are Nicaraguans. Because who else would come to Chile? They were afraid that they get flooded with applicants from Nicaragua, and no one else from the world would come over here. And the third concern was that the foreigners would just come here, live in their own little, cubby holes, and not interact with anyone, and nothing good would come of it. So I said, trust me, there'll be good that happens. And I'll do a confession right now. I had no clue whether it would work or not. I mean, I knew from my experience about entrepreneurial networks that the magic happens when you bring people together, but I had no clue. I mean, I was hopeful, I was wishful. I'm a good sales guy. So Nico believed me, and we said, let's try an experiment. So the minister told Nico, I'll give you $1 million to try this experiment. This Indian guy, I'm sure he said, this Indian guy seems crazy, but we'll trust him anyway. Because he's at Harvard and he's at Duke, so he must know what he's talking about. So did an experiment to bring the first 25 companies in. 23 people showed up. And within 6 months, it was just amazing to see what was happening. I came and visited. It was amazing to see how much the first generation of Start-Up Chile entrepreneurs was now working with the local community, the energy that was happening there, the information sharing. They were going to local universities to recruit from the universities. They were employing 1.8 locals or 1.8 workers for every person that came here. They were bringing their families here. By every measure, it was an amazing experiment which worked. So then Nico and Jean and Cristobal and everyone, were all the bureaucrats, and I'm saying bureaucrats respectfully in Chile. The bureaucrats here are the smart guys. The bureaucrats huddled and they said, okay, now let's launch this experiment. And the Chile earthquake had happened, so everyone was distracted. The media didn't care about Start-Up Chile. So quietly they did this program to bring the first lot of entrepreneurs in. And then, now we're the second lot of entrepreneurs and so on. But what we found was, if you go around the offices of Start-Up Chile, you see magic happening. You have these tribes now, where you help each other. People are openly sharing information. They're interacting with each other. You get to now network with each other, make friends with each other. There are companies that are quietly merging together. They're pivoting, quietly changing ideas. So there's a lot of good that's happening here. This is what Silicon Valley is all about. Because I've researched why immigrants have been successful in Silicon Valley. Why have Indians in particular been successful in Silicon Valley? Because they founded networks that started helping each other. The same magic that happened, by the way, Indians, of the 52%, 15.5% out of 52% are Indians, people like me from India. Back home, we were basically not helping each other. We were, part of the British imperial rule by which they divided and conquered. No Indian would ever help any Indian, was the belief that I was brought up with. My father was in the Indian Foreign Service, and I was told that no Indian will ever help an Indian. But in Silicon Valley, they started helping other Indians. They started building networking groups and doing what you're doing in Start-Up Chile, and bang, they became the most successful immigrant group by far. 6% of the Silicon Valley population is starting 15.5% of its startups. So the magic happened by networking. The same magic that's happening in Start-Up Chile. That you're helping each other, you're networking with each other, you're learning from each other, you're growing. And this is the other thing which is really important. And I think about half the audience over here isn't from Start-Up Chile, is a local audience. You're now beginning to build links with the locals. The locals are now beginning to respect Start-Up Chile. There's no backlash against Start-Up Chile. It's mostly all very positive. That it's considered, at first there was a lot of, there were a couple of bloggers who were slamming Start-Up Chile. These bloggers were complete idiots. They were like the nativists in America who harangued the foreigners in America. But by and large, the local community was silent. Now it's becoming generally very positive about Start-Up Chile. They're coming to the local events. They're now interacting with it. They want to be part of Start-Up Chile itself. So now it's been opened up to the local community. So the magic is happening over here. I'm from Silicon Valley. I've been researching Silicon Valley. I'll tell you one thing, that this is the microcosm of Silicon Valley. If you were to take Silicon Valley and put it into a test tube, you would get Start-Up Chile. This is what's happening over here. The magic of people helping each other. I have little doubt that from the 1,000 companies that come here for the next 2 years or so, you will probably have 100 to 200 successes. Probably 20 or 30 big successes. Facebook, Intel, Microsoft, Google class companies coming out of here. 20 or 30 out of the sample that we have over here over the next 2 years. But 100 to 200 will be, good $50, $100 million companies. The rest of them, probably a third of them will be, successes which will get sold for a good price. A third of them will be miserable failures, and the rest will be in between, which will now want to pivot and iterate and do things again. Now, so Start-Up Chile basically is a big success. It's not perfect, because one thing which I've learned is that there are probably 10% who are just hangers-on, who came here, whose companies failed, who are deadwood. What I've asked Horatio to do is to announce that we're going to kill this deadwood. We don't need them here. Let them stay here if they want to stay here, but cut off their funding. Why should good government money be going to entrepreneurs that are here for just to have a good time? So, Horatio, I hope you're going to revise the plan and fix that, because we don't want the deadwood here. We want the hardcore, motivated entrepreneurs who are going to change the world. If he doesn't do it, then send emails to him and CC me on them, telling him who the losers are here. Let's get them out of here. Because I bet you the losers aren't over here because they're not engaging in the ecosystem. They're partying versus building companies. But that's, again, you always, in any government program, in any program, you always have, the bottom 10%. So you clean that bottom 10% up. But by and large, people are doing wonderful things. The other day I sat through the travel and tourism tribe. One thing which I did see happening was that people weren't telling each other about their companies. They weren't looking to see what the synergies were. So just being an independent outsider, I was able to say, look, why don't you hook up with this entrepreneur, bring this designer in over here, you need to do this A, B, and C, and start helping each other. One of the groups is doing some beautiful mapping software. In fact, with mapping software people, we're now talking about doing a world-changing movement called the I Am a Failure movement. We're going to, in fact, I don't remember all the names, I'm getting too old over here. All right, you got it. What they're going to be doing is they're going to be crowdsourcing their ideas with all of you. What I want to do is I want to start a movement over here to glorify failure. So I'm going to go up there and be one of the first people to say that I'm a failure. Here's why I'm a failure. Here's all the things I've done which I fucked up on. And here's how I recovered from it. Here's how it came out much better as a result of it. I'll get my friends in Silicon Valley. I'll get Brad Feld. I'll get Reid Hoffman. I'll get a lot of Silicon Valley movie stars who are my friends to post their things about why they failed. I want all of you to talk about what your failures were in your life and help them optimize the website, because what I want to do from this is create a movement by which entrepreneurs go online and talk about their failures. I want Chilean entrepreneurs to start showing up about their failures because they want to glorify failures. But that came from one meeting I had with this one group, I had been sitting in Chile. And today I tried walking around and looking at entrepreneurs saying, look, you have a Malaysian group doing a cat, Pinterest website here. You have another group over here building a dog website by which you manage the process of maintaining your dog. I said, well, why don't the cat people do dog as well? And why don't we now hook the cat up to the dog front? You get the idea that when you start going and meeting each other, you'll find that you can help each other. You can now start building a conglomerate. Let me get another step. Once you start building a conglomerate, forget it, you know what I mean, and helping each other. It's a very unique opportunity you have. All of you are foreigners over here. All of you are outside your comfort zone. You're in a new place. You should start meeting each other and telling each other what you do. Now I'm going to take you to Brazil. I wrote an article in the Washington. How many of you follow me on Twitter and read my article? Okay, all of the others should get the hell out of here. Those are the losers. Horatio, can you please take the video reel and get the hell out of, get them out of Start-Up Chile? I'm just teasing. I wrote an article yesterday for the Washington Post about Campanina, do I have it right? Campina Startups Association. We were in Brazil, the Singularity team were in Brazil last week, and so just like over here, we had our host setting our agenda. On one day, our host took us to this place, which is 2 hours outside everything is 2 hours in Sao Paulo. So it was this happened to be 2 hours outside Sao Paulo, with the person being on the other end of Sao Paulo. And they took us to this little town, where they had 3 universities. And when I said little town, it's a town of 1 million people. Compared to Sao Paulo, which has 20-something million people, it's a little tiny little speck on the map. So they took us to the Campina Startup Association. What I was amazed at was that there were 22 companies over there who were actively mentoring each other. What they do, and the reason I'm telling you this is because I want you to implement this here in Start-Up Chile. What they did was they formed an association by which they have what's called co-works. They basically set a set of milestones and they have deliverables. So they get together every week to review the deliverables. So imagine each of you getting in front of a peer group of 10 or 20 people and saying that, look, my goal is to deliver this in the next 3 months. Next week I'm going to achieve A, the week after I'm going to achieve B, C, D, E, F. These are my deliverables are. Then every week you get in front of the group and you justify what you achieved. You have measurable, and along with A, D, and C, you have measurable results over here. So it becomes a scientific process. Now you have to get in front of the group and tell them why you didn't achieve A or B or C or D. Okay. You're going to feel embarrassed. So there's peer pressure on you to achieve your goals. Right now, all of you are on your own. If you screw up, no one cares. You're not accountable to anyone. Start-Up Chile is still going to cut you your checks as long as you pretend to be working with them. And your company is going to most likely fail because you haven't been held accountable, you haven't had any peer review of your ideas. What you'll find is that by sharing your ideas with this group of, perhaps you're doing a group of 10 people. Okay. By sharing your ideas with a group of 10 people, you'll have happen what's happening over there. That you'll be able to get critical input. Saying, this strategy doesn't work. I tried this in my last company and I completely failed because of these reasons. And they'll suggest to you that why don't you try this idea. So what happened in this group of 22 companies was that a number of them realized that their strategies were completely screwed up. Others realized that they can now merge with these other companies. Others realized that they need more help in this area, they needed marketing help over here, and the people from the other company who were good at marketing started helping them. So informally they started helping each other. So out of the 22 companies, there's no failure. In fact, their revenue increased exponentially over 1 year. It's one data point. Their revenue increased exponentially, no failure rate. They were able to get financing. It's a huge success. That's the first example I've seen of entrepreneurial co-op anywhere in the world. So that's why I wrote a Washington Post article about that. So, but the lesson over here is that why don't you form entrepreneurial co-ops over here? You can even exchange equity. Give each other, everyone else in the co-op, 1% of your company for being, advising you over the next 6 months. So everyone shares in the upside. So you give up 10% of your company, but you get 10%, 1% of 10 other companies. So that you still have, you still have an upside in each other. It doesn't have to be a formal contract, it can just be informal contract because people will not screw you. if someone ends up building at Google and makes $2 billion, they will give you the share that they promise you. Entrepreneurs don't screw each other. They basically are, all of you, in fact, I haven't met one person who I thought was despicable, dishonest, or a sleazebag. All of you are honest, hard-working, good people. That's how entrepreneurs are. So why don't you try that experiment? Start teaming up with a bunch of people, make them your board of advisors, your board that you hold accountable to, and start taking the mentoring to the next level. Crowdsource your ideas and try that experiment. You'll find that it really helps you a lot. If all of you don't want to do it, the ones that do want to do it, just form your own little co-ops here and see what happens. Alright, so what I want to do now is Q&A. I'll read my speaker one. If you want to ask me a question, come up over here and ask me in English.
Actually, there is a mic, so if you have a question, raise your hand and we will give you the mic so you can deliver. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did that because I have a very hard time speaking my mind. Question. I can't see you, but keep talking. All right, okay. Let me get into now I'm going to put my Singularity University hat on. Those of you who've known me know that I have had appointments at Harvard University, at Duke, at Berkeley, at Emory, and then I joined Singularity. And recently I joined Stanford. I resigned from Harvard, I resigned from Berkeley. Why would anyone in their right mind resign from Harvard? Because I joined Singularity University and it blew my mind. One thing I didn't realize was that, I'm like most of you over here, I'm a technologist. I basically started my career in computer programming and I'm very familiar with how to write code and how the technology industry works. I have no idea what's happening in medicine. I know very little about artificial intelligence. I know very little about nanotechnology. I know very little about synthetic biology. So I have, Salim Ismail, who's in this room. Where's Salim? Right over there. That light-haired guy. Salim, I have an excuse for ripping at you. But Salim is one of the founders of Singularity University. He invited me there about 18 months ago. He wrote me an email. I don't know how he found me, but he asked me to come and visit Singularity University. So, yeah, I said, sure, I'll come and visit. And then I read about the fact that it's on NASA's campus. In Silicon Valley, you have to realize that there's this campus which is like, who's seen Stargate? All right. Cheyenne Mountains, this mysterious underground sort of bunkers and so on. So in Silicon Valley, you've got this Cheyenne Mountain, this mysterious thing that everyone drives by, which is this big land, this big hangar and so on, high security, you can't get in there. NASA, which means you have astronauts and scientists over there. So he invited me to come over there. I eventually went there. He invited me for the whole day. There was an executive program going on. And, my life is really, really, really busy. So I politely just spoke to him, I'll drop by for an hour or two if you don't mind. So he said, sure, you come anytime. He's a fantastic host. You should get to know the guy. The guy is someone I look up to. So he invited me over. I went over. He was very polite. He let me sit through the thing. And I sat through a presentation by Daniel Kraft, who was talking about the future of medicine. Then Dan Barry, who's an astronaut, three-time astronaut, who's talking about robotics and artificial intelligence. And just that 1.5 hours I was there, it really blew my mind. What I realized was, for example, artificial intelligence. Through the 70s and the 80s, artificial intelligence was hyped like you won't believe. We thought it was dead. Right? How many of you think that AI is dead? No one is as stupid as I am, all right. But I thought AI was dead. So I went there and there was Dan Barry talking about all the applications of AI and how AI is advancing and so on. And he started showing these videos of all the sophisticated robots that could do sophisticated manufacturing, that could climb up hills, and so on and so on. And then Daniel Kraft started talking about all the advances in medicine. The fact that the genome, the human genome, had been sequenced for the first time, 8 or 9 years ago it was then. And how the human body was becoming software. And it just absolutely completely blew my mind. So I ended up cancelling all my meetings. I started texting people, sending emails. I canceled every meeting I had that day. I ended up spending the whole day over there. And I walked out of there like a child who had just watched Battlestar Galactica or Star Wars for the first time, thinking about all these Cylons and the evil empire and all this advances in science fiction that were reality. So, and then later on, Peter DeMantis asked me to come and teach at Singularity University, and then Salim and Rob Neal and Peter DeMantis asked me to take a full-time position at Singularity University, and they're taking a half-time position. But here, in a summary, here is what's happening right now with technology. Take medicine. The human beings have become software. So far, to cure disease, we've been dependent on big pharma. What does big pharma do? They do this big medical test. They spend billions of dollars coming up with cures. And guess what? You only have 10 or 20, medicines coming out every year, and big pharma is self-destructive. We've been dependent on big pharma to cure our health. But with this DNA being sequenced, what's happened is that we've become software. That it costs, between $1 and $3 billion, depending on how you count it, to sequence the first human genome. It took decades to get there. Today, all of you can get your complete genome sequence for about $1,000. There's new companies that are coming out, maybe 3 months from now, it's $1,000. Within 3 years, it'll cost $100. Within 5 years, it'll be an app on your iPhone. You just touch the screen, it'll sequence your genome. So what does that mean? I mean, this is something that all of you think about. What does that mean? That your genome is sequenced. Well, Salim and I, unfortunately I'm not losing my hair yet, but let's say he and I both get headaches at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Sorry for this. There was a big call that did it to me. I have an excuse. Salim is going to beat the crap out of me the first time we get. So both he and I let's say we get headaches at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. One of you can write an application that compares his DNA with my DNA. You do a Google search and find out we have these two genes in common. There will be strands of DNA in common. And then you can go and do a Google search and find out who else has them, who's been able to cure their headaches, so they don't get these anymore. They happen to be Brazilian, they went to the rainforest, they took this exotic little herb from there. Now, Andrew Hessel is over here as well. Where's Andrew? Andrew's an expert in synthetic biology. You should speak to him. He'll tell you about how you can now synthesize bacteria. You can now synthesize organisms. So that Brazilian, let's say 5-10 years from now, gets the DNA of that organism. Again, Andrew can correct me on this, but somehow magically they send the formula, the recipe for that little organism over. They email it to me. I had my little synthetic biology printer sitting in my office, and I print the medicine, and I take the medicine. I'm cured. This seems like science fiction, but this is possible almost today. It will be possible in the next 10 years or so. Because the genome sequencing has become so cheap. Think about it. With now also on your iPhone, I don't know if you have a Fitbit or not, or a Zio, or a Lark. With the Zio and the Lark, what the Fitbit does is a thing that clips onto your pocket. It counts how many steps you take. It talks to your iPhone and tells you how much you walk. The Zio is a little thing that goes on your head, which monitors your sleep pattern, which monitors your brain waves. There are dozens of devices. Sensors are becoming really, really cheap right now. You can get very sophisticated sensors for $10 or $20 or $30, which monitor your body. You can have sensors on your shoes, which monitors how much you walk, which talks to your iPhone via Bluetooth, and which monitors your health practices. You can have sensors that monitor what you eat, where you've been. So you can now start building all the sophisticated applications that monitor your health, that you happen to get sick. Well, what you do is you now start looking at all the people that got the same disease in the same region. You figure out what food they ate. They happen to go to this restaurant. They ate this tuna fish, and they got sick from that. And now you can go and find where the tuna fish came from, and you get the idea. You can now build very sophisticated medical applications that monitor your health, and that helps you cure disease. It's something all of you can do. Just like you're building iPhone apps right now, you can build iPhone apps with sensors which help you monitor your health. What's the cost? Not more than building any other iPhone app, because sensors are really, really cheap. Let's get to robotics. It used to be that that, I'm sure all of you have seen science fiction movies, the Cylons and the Borg from Star Trek, and all the evil androids and so on that would eat up humanity. And then all the good robots that would serve you, the Jetsons, you would have, what was the maid called, that would go around serving people and so on and so on. The reason why robots weren't possible, to build a machine that moves some limbs and so on is very easy. It's just pulleys and a motor. Okay. To build that is very easy. But to be able to recognize someone's face is very hard. To be able to recognize voice and to make sense of voice is very hard. 5 or 10 years ago, to be able to do facial recognition and voice recognition, the technology would need a mainframe-like computer. 30 years ago, a mainframe-like computer to recognize voice and face would be the size of this room. 50 years ago, it would be impossible. Right? Today, my little iPhone over here can do voice recognition. Facebook can do face recognition. Because the processors have become so small and so cheap. So now we can build world-changing robotics technologies. We can have sensors. We can build DNA, 3D printing. You should do a Google search on 3D printers and see the power of 3D printers. Right now they can print sophisticated plastic-like devices. Within 5 or 10 years we'll be able to print sophisticated metal devices and different materials. Just like you do laser printing, we can print entire devices there. You go to 3D print houses. You go to 3D print medicine. Organisms, already people are 3D printing the trachea and the lungs and so on. So all of these things are possible using computer technology. I wish Andrew Hanson was presenting his synthetic biology thing. He would show you a genome compiler, which is like a software tool by which you can design a new DNA, which you can get printed through your local synthetic biology Kinko's. All of that today, and design new organisms. All of you can do that. All of you have the power to build these world-changing organisms, these world-changing companies. You're not dependent on, you don't have to build the same stupid social media apps anymore. You can now be stepping 3 steps ahead and building the world-changing applications. People over here in Chile have access to the same knowledge that people in Silicon Valley have, that the leading scientists at NASA have. All of the information is available on the web right now. So why don't you start looking forward, learning about these advances in technology and trying to build the next multi-billion-dollar businesses? Because, in fact, you actually have an advantage over here. In Silicon Valley, they're completely fucked up. Again, I've had too much alcohol today, but that's the way I feel about it. Everyone is building the same stupid social media applications. Okay? Everyone is obsessed with building this little Facebook ad or this Twitter-like application or get this another permutation on social media. That's what they're all doing. That's what the venture capitalists are funding, because they make quick bucks on that. They'll sell it to their friends and make $40 million in the company, and it's a big game in Silicon Valley. So Silicon Valley is obsessed with the stupid social media. Here, you can think outside the box and you can build world-changing, next-generation applications that solve the grand challenges of humanity. I've got a very eager person up there. I want to ask you a question, please.
Hello, my name is Paulina. I must say, being 1 meter 83 centimeters tall is the first time I feel small in Chile. Thank you. I'm applying for the round 4 for the second time, despite of the fact that not being accepted for the third round. I still came to Chile, and once the application process has been opened, I've noticed that the option of the industry as NGO has been removed. There's only social enterprise left. And this is my question. I believe people from the third sector can be very entrepreneurial, can change the world. I believe that entrepreneurship is about innovation. It's not about making lots of cash. NGOs can employ lots of people. I can give you many more arguments for employing NGO, but my question is whether it's still included or not. Can I help for something else?
I'm going to give you some dirty laundry over here. I'm not happy with the way the admission process in Start-Up Chile works. I've been brutal in the advisory board meetings, and I asked for some special approvals for myself so I could take people like you and approve you immediately. Because the fact that you're here The fact that we're taking the incentive to come over here and the fact you're so motivated, it should be no brainer for them to include you. Yes, they've got this stupid U-Noodle sign-up thing where they get these idiotic judges from all over the place. Now, the problem that John Bollinger and Horatio have in this government, if they do anything outside the bounds, they'll be accused of corruption. They won't be able to do it. So, I have been brutal about it. I'm entirely unhappy with the application process. In fact, Horatio, wherever you are, I can't see you. But I want to get at least 10 or 12 special exceptions that perhaps you and I can approve based on special cases like this. The fact that she's here, what more do you want? I mean, she's an entrepreneur. What do entrepreneurs do? They do dumb things like showing up where they shouldn't be showing up. They're in your face. They take You're the new boss over here. My challenge to you is to fix the fucking system. That's the 5th time I use this. 5th time I use the F word, okay? Fix the system so we can admit people like her. We can make exceptions for people who have the motivation to change the world. And NGO, social entrepreneurs, that's the way to go. But whatever it might be, I don't care what she's building. The idea of Start-Up Chile, what I pitched to the economic minister was that, because, this is in the first round, they were totally screwed up. The judges were a bunch of government bureaucrats who were trying to be venture capitalists. They felt left out of Silicon Valley, so now finally they had their big chance that they could be VCs and be judging business plans and be trying to pick which industries to pick and to do and so on. Fortunately, we got that away from them. We outsourced it to an independent company, but I'm not happy with the independent company and the process as well. So we need to be able to make exceptions for people who are really, really, really motivated and bright. And another thing we need to be able to do is we need to be able to crowdsource applications. Another thing I want is, rather than getting these outside judges, we throw it on to you folks. That you know what, again, cut the bottom 10% crap out. The 90% who are good and competent and true entrepreneurs, why don't we have you judge the applicants? Who is more equipped to judge who will succeed in Start-Up Chile? People who are here, who know what the system is all about, who know what the value system is, or some idiots in Silicon Valley who happen to be friends of the investors in the U-Noodle. Right? It should be you people who are the judges. In fact, if we told all of you to judge 10 or 20 applications each, we kept the names off it, just let you look at business plans, we'd get a lot more input from you than we do from the people who are doing it right now. So this is something I'm going to battle with people for, but we've got to fix the system. So thank you for asking that. And Rachel, if I have a vote, I want her to start up in the next round. And would you do me a favor? Keep sending emails to him and to Cristobal, Cristobal, how do you pronounce his last name? Alright, his boss. Write to him as well. Write to the economics minister. I can probably get you the email of the economics minister. Just launch a campaign to take over. More questions.
I'd just like to know, what do you think of things like BizCamp Santiago? Do you think they're a good idea?
He wants me to do an ad for BizCamp. Right. I'm speaking at it tomorrow. I have no idea what I'm talking about and what the details of BizCamp is. But my attitude is that any networking organization is a good idea. You try different things out. What needs to happen is that you need to connect entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs. Exchange ideas and help each other. However you do it, doesn't matter. There's no right way of doing it. Everyone has a different way. I told you about Campina. They tried one experiment, which worked very well for them. You might develop a completely new method of interacting at Start-Up Chile, which is so revolutionary that I just had to write about it. So try it out. BizCamp is a great thing. So tomorrow, you want me to do a plug for what you're doing? What time is it?
1 o'clock tomorrow.
3 o'clock tomorrow.
And 1 o'clock on Saturday.
1 o'clock on Saturday is BizCamp. Ask him what it's all about. I have no idea. I know I'm on with Jason Kalkanis, who's a friend of mine, really cool guy. We're going to be talking via Skype to Silicon Valley. It's funny that we're both in Silicon Valley half the time, and we're going to be talking to each other with Skype from Chile to wherever he is. So dial in, whatever, blah, 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 blah. You get your ad. Next question.
So you talked a lot about Silicon Valley and those kind of things. I was wondering, because of my idea, I came here like this lady because I heard about Start-Up Chile. I wanted to start a company here, but we work with tactile things, logistics. So is there a space for that?
There's absolutely a space for tax applications and other things. I mean, the problem becomes when everyone focuses on the same social media, the current hot thing. There are hundreds of niches where entrepreneurs have not been, unexplored territories where mankind has not been. If you can be one of the first few to go there and own that niche, you win. I mean, not every business has to be a $1 billion business. You can build very good $20, $30 million businesses which bring long-term revenue in, where you can build a lifestyle business which is very successful, which is great. It shouldn't all be, the mindset in Silicon Valley is completely screwed up because it's all about the exit, and the exit is the IPO for the venture capitalists. So the venture capitalists have dominated the scene. They've programmed Silicon Valley the wrong way. There's absolutely nothing wrong with going after niche businesses. There's nothing wrong with building lifestyle businesses. There's nothing wrong with focusing on the long term, and so on and so on. So don't listen to these idiots in Silicon Valley who dominate the scene over there, who used to read on TechCrunch and the tech blogs. Those are just the mafia over there, a small group enriching itself. That's not the mainstream. The mainstream should be building diverse applications for different marketplaces, but in different countries. What is the service? That's fine. Logistics, services, again, there's nothing wrong with different types of business models. Start-Up Chile should not be discriminating against you. The process should be they interview you, and if you're a smart, capable, motivated entrepreneur, if you're not one of these screw-ups who's going to come here and waste everyone's time and energy, you should be able to come to Start-Up Chile. That's what the criteria is supposed to be, based on motivated entrepreneurs.
Hi. First, I wanted to say to anyone like these two last people that came up, you should come work with us at Centro Movie Star Innova. You can pay a day fee. Anyone can show up. It's at 227 Providencia, so come hang out. And second, I wanted to ask, I've been meaning to set up the groups of 10 for a while. How would you recommend we choose, how to split it up?
You should not be choosing. You're not qualified to choose. What should happen is it should be a dating scheme for entrepreneurs. You should do events like this where everyone tells everyone about what they're doing, and then they get together and do some matchmaking on their own. You should do some game playing, and you get people to talk to each other, interact with each other. All those newbies that are coming here, you come up with some games or some social application. Maybe what you do is you put everyone on a bus to go down to Vinia and to Valparaiso. You hire a bus, everyone puts in $20 to go out for a day, where they get to meet each other and interact with each other, and then they pick their own group. It's like arranged marriages. I mean, they work for some people, but they don't work for the majority. Actually, it actually worked for me. So I shouldn't be critical of arranged marriages. But the point is that people should find their own peers.
Hi, I know that you have been working for the Indian tablet, Akash. You know something about that? For the Indian tablet, Akash. You have been working on that project. So I have two questions. First is, how do you see the future for that project? And second, for startups that are based in Latin America and that we are intensive on tablets, how can we get them?
The Indian Akash tablet is an amazing piece of technology. Version 1.0 was crappy. Version 2 is quite usable. It's a 7-inch tablet which costs about $55 to produce, which could be, in low volume. In high volume, the cost would probably drop to $30 or $40, which means you could retail for $50 or $60. The Indian government, as you know, is corrupt and incompetent, as are most governments in the world. So it's caught in this entire mess of Indian politics. And interestingly, in India, it's not the Indian government that's asking for the kickbacks. It's a partner group that they have in one of the educational institutions that seems to be screwing it up. They probably haven't got enough kickbacks or whatever, but they've been trying to sabotage the Akash tablet. Whatever the Indian politics might be, the fact is that I wish I had brought it with me. I have an Akash 2 tablet, which is a very slick little device. It's a 7-inch tablet on which you can run Android. and which works very well. The performance is quite good for that device. I've actually connected, the Indian manufacturers that to a group in Mexico that might actually release it through Mexico if everything goes together. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But the point is that regardless of what happens to India, by the end of this year, you will have sub $100 tablets, tablets price less than $100, which are almost as good as the iPhone 1 was. iPhone 1 was a little bit slow, clunky, but it was a very slick device. 7 inches with Wi-Fi access built into it, with cell phone connectivity built into it. And most likely it will be below $100. It's very possible that if India gets its act together and starts distributing the Akash tablets or for about $60 or $70, the price point will drop to $70 immediately. You will have those coming in Latin America. At a $70 price point, by next year, if it goes up to $50, imagine what will happen over here. 7-inch tablets being available to the villagers, being available in the slums, being available to the restaurants, being available all across the world. They'll be pervasive. You'll have hundreds of millions of these being sold. So, however it happens, within the next 12 to 24 months, guaranteed, you can, I'm on film over here, you can come back to me. We'll have sub-$100 devices that start now becoming pervasive. So you should start planning for it and building applications which will reach the masses. So, worst case, within 3 years, we'll have $50 devices available in the slums all over the world. So the poorest of the poor will have access to the same technology, the same knowledge that you folks have. Just like you folks can go and watch, sophisticated lectures on SingularityU.org, watch Andrew Hessel, watch Dan Barry, watch Daniel Pratt, even Salim, my ball friend. I'm sorry, Salim. So you can watch their videos on SingularityU.org or on YouTube. The poorest of the poor will be able to do that and give the same knowledge that you have that the people of Silicon Valley have. So this will happen in the short term. So you should bet on it and start assuming that the technology will be pervasive and you'll be able to now start building new ways of educating, new ways of doing e-commerce, new ways of doing bus scheduling. I mean, there's thousands of applications you can think of that will change the world. The technology will catch up with you. It's expanding. This is, again, what Singularity University is all about. It's about exponentially expanding technologies. Moore's law has held its ground for 50 years. I have no doubt it will hold its ground for another 5 years or so, which means that the prices will drop again by 50% over the next 18 months, and all of these technologies will become pervasive. So you can count on it and start building for the future.
I got a question. What do you think the U.S. is going to do about this brain drain? And I'm not from the U.S.
I'm totally pessimistic about the U.S. They're completely screwed up. What's going to happen is that there's going to be a new president. It's looking more and more like it's going to be Obama again. And it's more likely that the new president in the first term will realize that they need to do something and something might happen after the election. But who knows? You also have the mad dog xenophobes. I mean, I tell you, I get death threats from these wackos. A year ago, I had to go to a conference in Seattle on immigration. The organizers received an M1 bullet, which is a carbine that big, addressed to me and this local senator and a couple of other people saying, "Come at your own peril." The senator chickened out. I went there anyway. But that's the status of America. And I get these wackos hounding me on Twitter, you read my article on immigration, read the comment section, you read these mad dog wackos posting the same garbage over and over and over again. Complete idiots. There's nothing better to do than to post these things. So those are the people that are most vocal, that are dominating the dialogue in America. So I'm pessimistic. Which means that it's going to be Chile's game. Start-Up Chile will get hundreds and hundreds of new applicants. It's India's game. It will get thousands of returnees. It's China's gain, it will be Brazil's gain. You'll have innovation centers happening all over the world. The world will rise and America will remain stagnant in technology because of its screwed up policies. It's sad, but that's the reality.
Yeah, first of all, a really great speech. I'm from Germany and I maybe can tell a bit about the entrepreneur scene from there. I mean, Germany is like a really growing entrepreneur market. Although I have to say, I really like that you guys focus more on the innovative part, because in Germany we have something called the copycat industry. I would say like nearly every startup that comes out of Germany is trying to copy something, and we have those big incubators and that are really don't let any room for entrepreneurs because they are having like hundreds of people just looking for the biggest trends. And as soon as something is coming out, they come with a big marketing budget and a lot of people on it, so you don't have a lot of room. So my first question would be how you want to avoid, or what ways is like maybe to break through this copycat industry. I mean, it's in Brazil the same. I mean, you have a lot of American, German companies that are trying to come with a lot of money into Brazil as well and don't let the local entrepreneurs a lot of room. My first question would be how you see or how you can break this through. And the second point is like where I disagree a bit with your speech. I mean, I really like that you have a positive spirit, but I just experienced that as soon as money comes on the table, it's not that you can rely on a lot of people. I mean, I experienced a lot of startups that kind of like partners screwed each other up, and we all know the Social Network movie where it's not a really good role model for being loyal to a partner.
Second question first, yeah, you've got a bunch of losers everywhere, and when money comes into play, people throw each other. But that's the problem you want to have. There's so much money, people start fighting each other. That's what you should all aspire to. Okay. The second part of it is about Germany and copying. First of all, Germany is actually a very innovative country. But what they've done in many, many ways, Germany's rise is because of innovation. They've somehow perfected the art of developing very high quality, very elegant technology, which is in niche industries which provides tremendous value. This is why Germany has one of the strongest economies in Europe. Now the third part of it is about copying. What I'm going to say is going to surprise all of you. Copying is great. Do it. I mean, what you should do, especially in Latin America, is copy every success there is in Silicon Valley and replicate it for this marketplace, because it'll be a training wheel. Someone has already gone to the trouble of perfecting a business model. I don't know if there's an eBay in Chile or not, but why not build a Chilean eBay? I don't know if there's you can go through all the big successes in America, why not replicate them in South America or in Europe? What do you think that Facebook is unique? Zuckerberg stole his ass off. I mean, he copied MySpace, and he just happened to get lucky and make it big. He did nothing original. Microsoft, the entire company was built on copy technology. All of these big American companies are built on copy technology. Copying is really, really cool. Do it. So don't feel bad about it. What you do is learn from others who have paved the way. It's really a matter of finding where the paved road is. They've already tested the business model, they've tested the ideas. Learn from them, and then outdo them. Perfect that, copy and then improvise. That's the easy way to success. Do as much of it as you can, and by the time you've done it, you'll now start innovating, because you'll start thinking about the next big revolution. How can you now leapfrog everyone else?
You said you want to glorify failure. I want to know which is your biggest failure.
Now this could take all night. I've failed over and over again. I tell you, in any company you build, you keep failing. The only thing you don't do is you don't admit it to your employees. Because what you have to realize is that, I'm sure all of you have done science in your high school or primary school. When you do a science experiment, you're told that you have a hypothesis. You have to test the hypothesis by doing experiments. So you do the same experiment, you do experiments over and over again until you get it right. Okay. No one ever tells you that if you fail once, you never do the experiment again, right? Why do they say that in entrepreneurship? We're now in a new world where technology is expanding exponentially. We're coming up with new types of devices, new types of products, new technologies like DNA processing, 3D printing, and so on, which have no business models. How can anyone be smart enough to know what's going to work over there? It's all experimentation. Experimentation is failure. So, where experimentation is accepted in science, why is it not accepted in technology? That's what failure is all about. So, in everything I've done, I've failed many, many, many times. I'm not sure about it very often, because I don't want people to think I'm a loser. But that's what entrepreneurship is all about. You fail every day, and you learn how to rise above it. You learn because you're a loser if you fail and you don't learn from it. If you think that you're arrogant, you're perfect. There are a lot of people in Silicon Valley like that. They succeeded once, and now they think that they're gods, and they tell everyone to replicate their models. They're the idiots. Okay, they're one-trick ponies. What you need to do is to make sure that every failure that happens, you step back and say, okay, what did I do wrong? What can I learn from it? How can I do better? If you keep doing that, failure is your best friend. Now we have an extra last question over here, the Chilean way.
Thank you. Well, first I want to just thank you on your help in creating Start-Up Chile. I was part of one of the first or two selected on the first 25 on a startup called Junior, one of the first that actually raised money on Start-Up Chile. And I'm actually now reapplying for Start-Up Chile for a new startup. So thank you for your help. My question is because I'm from Costa Rica, and there's not, like, startups are not even part of the word in there. And we don't have the money to bribe entrepreneurs on going in there. And hopefully I want to go in a couple of years and take all of this knowledge and open the ecosystem in there. If we can bribe people in here, what would be your advice on, like, bootstrapping a startup ecosystem?
What I would do in Costa Rica and in other countries like this is you probably have 200 or 300 or 400 entrepreneurs there. Get them together. Get them to network each other and help each other. Get them to focus locally versus globally. Let them build for Costa Rica and then take over Chile and then take over Brazil, Argentina, take over this map. And then if they're successful, then they can take over North America. There's nothing holding them back, but the key is that they have to help each other. In any ecosystem, the key to success is entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs. All right, my friends. Vivek, thank you very much. For everyone that's done, we'll take a picture with Vivek here, so if you want to come here. Picture, Vivek.
Okay, guys, sorry for the enthusiastic operation. Come on, guys, everyone here to take a photo with Vivek. Come on, everyone, up.
¿De iPhone? ¿Está la cámara? Ah, para ti. Why are you up and trying to...
Finally, I'm up.
Tiene que salir que la ayuda. ¿Dónde estáis?
I know I got it from a friend.